Well, I was not expecting to make another one of these videos so soon, let me tell you that. But it's just been announced by Shams today, just a couple minutes ago. De'Aaron Fox is now a San Antonio Spur. Zach Lavine is now a Sacramento King. There's a lot to unpack here. Again, it's a work night for me, so I got to keep this brief. We're going to get going soon. I want to break it down from each team's perspective. We're going to start with the Spurs. San Antonio gets a great deal here. They didn't have to give up any of their great young pieces. No Johnson, no Vassell, no Stephon Castle. You did obviously have to give up some stuff. You obviously had to give the Bulls back their pick. You gave up Zach Collins. You gave up Trey Jones. But all of those guys feel pretty expendable, honestly. Feels like the Bulls did a lot more of the grunt work. Obviously, they did have to contribute their fair share of picks. But the Bulls, they turned Zach Lavine into those guys, Kevin Huerter, and then their own first-round pick for this season. So they're pretty obviously tanking. Could be really clutch, though, if they do get into the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. If the Bulls win the lottery and get Cooper Flag, we're having an entirely different conversation about this trade. But right now, as of the way that it looks, you didn't really maximize on your value with Lavine. But it is definitely possible. It's just pretty entirely reliant on the lottery going forward. I said I was going to talk about San Antonio, and I immediately got off track of them. So my point with that is just that they didn't have to give up any of their key young pieces. They didn't have to give up, really anything of value. When you really think about it, Trey Jones is expendable. You have Chris Paul, you have Stephon Castle, you've got Vassell, you've got ball handlers, right? Trey Jones' spot is being taken by Fox anyway. Ship him out. Like I said, Spurs kind of get saved by the Bulls in this deal. Lavine going to Sacramento, reuniting him with DeMar DeRozan is very cool. It's a fun storyline with this. You've got, obviously, Keon Ellis now as the primary point guard. And I do think looking at their actual rosters, when you really think about, San Antonio, you've got Fox, Castle, Harrison Barnes, either Sohan, Johnson, one of the two, and then Wemby. That's a pretty good team. That could compete for a playoff spot off the rip, and it sets you up great going forward. Wemby has a great running mate, which did not take long for him. In his second season, he's already got another 20-point-per-game guy, a guy that can carry the offense, and a pick-and-roll partner. So that's going to be awesome. When you look at the Kings, you got Keon Ellis, and then Lavine, DeRozan, Keegan Murray, and Sabonis. So you have a pretty rounded-out starting five. Still got Carter and Monk off the bench, among others. So I don't hate how this shakes up for either Sacramento or the Spurs. Obviously, the Spurs walk away the happiest, but Fox doesn't want to stay long term. You got some value for him. You're still kind of in that middle ground. You could end up a play-in team. You might sneak into the playoffs. It's really about fit. It's about how they all gel. DeMar DeRozan is definitely going to have to take a step up, but I feel like DeMar gets the ball in the clutch. Lavine kind of scores throughout the rest of the game. Keegan Murray's a spot-up three-point guy if anybody gets trapped. Sabonis is also a great playmaker underneath. You've got a good amount of guys now. It's just about, hoping that they all gel together. And as we already said when we were talking about the Bulls, it's really important for them to get their pick back. That is, huge if they are going to end up tanking, which they absolutely should, to get the rights to their own draft pick back and, join the Cooper Flag, Ace Bailey, to get into those type of conversations where you're adding that type of talent. You've already got some young pieces. You would have liked to see maybe getting a piece from San Antonio, not like Trey Jones or Zach Collins, but you got your draft pick back, and at the end of the day, you've been holding on to Lavine too long, and you gotta get him out of here. I cannot believe that both of these two different trades went down on back-to-back days. I really appreciate the fact that this trade happened at a reasonable time, 7:30. Also, shout out to my Boston Celtics. 26-point comeback was sick. Jason Tatum had an amazing night. I love to see the double-digit assists. First time in his career he's had back-to-back games with 10 assists, and this time he put up 35 on 20 shots. Gotta love that. Got to shout out my guys. Sorry. Back to the trade at hand. It's just insane that both these trades happen in back-to-back days, and it's really feels like it has opened the floodgates, if you will. I feel like now everybody's checking their phones. Nobody wants to go to sleep, trying to check everything. Obviously, this trade isn't on the level of the Luka trade that just happened. We're not even 48 hours removed from that. Not even 24 hours, actually, removed from that. And we've got another bombshell. This one we were expecting, though. They already kind of said Fox has a preferred destination. He's up for an extension. Nobody's going to want to trade for him if he doesn't want to re-sign there. And, Wemby is enough of a draw. You're not going to have De'Aaron Fox be like, oh, yeah, I don't want to be here anymore. So they've got their point guard of the future, their co-star with Wemby. I think De'Aaron Fox is built for the number 2 role. He's a great number 2, kind of like the Jaylen Brown type of situation. He's going to be a good ball handler, again, to pair with Wemby in the pick and roll. It's going to be nasty. He's a great, quick attack the basket type of guy too. He can shoot the 3 ball, but the pick and roll with Wemby, if Wemby pops for his threes, it's a really, really fun thing to think about. I'm sure it's going to be amazing on the court. Spurs are immediately must-see TV, if they weren't already with Wemby. And then revisiting on Sacramento, I don't want to, ramble too much. I'm just trying to get all of my thoughts out there, make sure, all my ducks are in a row. But I like the fit. I do like the fit with Lavine. I think they need a type of guy who's just going to get you a bucket. They get more three-point shooting. When Sabonis wants to go to work in the low post, it's going to be hard for them to help off of a guy like Lavine or a guy like Keegan Murray. Keon Ellis has shown flashes, so you give him the room to blossom here, get yourself a true shooting guard in Lavine. And yeah, it's definitely aging talent for sure. With Lavine and DeRozan, they're going to get older, they're going to get worse. The regression is definitely going to hit them. I do think they're set up to win, though, and I do think that they can at least make a playoff push. The roster, it's definitely about gelling. As I said earlier, it's going to be about how the fit all comes together. And I just think it's crazy that all this is happening right now. It's just like a weekend that I wasn't expecting anything to go down. The 2 biggest deals of the trade deadline just kind of happened out of nowhere, especially, again, Luka and AD getting traded for each other is insane. I cannot believe the aftermath of that. So many Mavs fans that are just rightfully upset about that. I still cannot believe they traded Luka. I'm going to let this video be its own video. And I did have just one more update before we close this. But the podcast is actually coming back. My roommate and one of my friends is taking a class where she needs to help people out with their social media. So I'm going to be part of that project, and she's actually going to be helping me edit my videos. In the last video, we actually talked about that, about how I only have so much time in the day, want to spend time with the video game videos, the 2K series and the College Football 25 series. I'm putting a lot of effort into those, but I'm going to teach her how to edit the podcast. So that should be coming back soon. I'm lost for words. So much action happening out of nowhere. But you got to love to see it. That's the NBA. That's basketball. That's why we all love this sport. It's why we all, scroll on Twitter hoping that something like this is going to pop up. So, that's really all I've got for you. I will see you all in the next one. Take care.